Everyone remembers Zira as the fierce and ruthless lioness who followed Scar with blind loyalty. But have you ever wondered what turned her into such a bitter and evil leader? Was she always like that? Or did something in her past push her down the dark path? How did she become so obsessed with Scar? And why did she hate Simba so much? Today, we're going to dive deep into Zira's full story, from her troubled childhood to her tragic death. So make sure you stay till the end, because this will change your perspective of how you see Zira completely. In a distant part of the Pride Lands, far from the peace and harmony of Simba's reign, there was a pride ruled by two fierce leaders, Kuzimu and Azola, Zira's parents. This pride was known for being violent and chaotic, living by a harsh set of rules that made them outcasts from other lion groups. There was no king or queen in this pride, only leaders who ruled with force, and Kuzimu, Zira's father, was the strongest of them all. From the moment Zira opened her eyes, her father had high expectations of her. Kuzimu wanted Zira to be tough, like him, so he trained her harshly, even while she was still very young. Every day he would push her, sometimes injuring her, saying it was to prepare her for her future as a leader. But instead of making her strong, it filled her heart with fear and anger. Her mother, Azola, loved her and tried to protect her when she could, but Kuzimu was ruthless. Azola often comforted Zira when Kuzimu wasn't looking, whispering words of kindness and telling her stories to calm her down. But one day, Kuzimu discovered Azola's secret support of their daughter. Outrageous, he killed Azola, believing that showing any softness would make Zira weak. This must have traumatized her forever. From that moment on, she felt nothing but sorrow and hatred. Her mother had been the only one who cared for her, and now she was gone. Zira no longer showed fear, love, or joy, only bitterness. The pride, fearing Kuzimu's power, supported his cruel actions. Therefore, Zira decided to run away in the middle of the night, determined to survive on her own and escape her father's rule. But then, one day, she stumbled upon the Pride Lands and met Scar. According to the Lion Guard, Zira became good friends with Scar, and he told her all about the roar of the elders. During this time, she came to greatly admire him and believed that he deserved to be the king of Pride Rock, instead of just being a leader of the Lion Guard. Zira was captivated by Scar. She saw in him the same hunger for power, the same willingness to do whatever it took to rule. So when she saw that Scar was looking for an heir, she knew this was her chance to impress him. She saw her son, Kovu, as the perfect opportunity for this. He was strong and fast, so Scar chose him as his heir. And from that moment on, Zira started to fill Kovu's mind with evil thoughts. Just when things seemed to be looking up for Zira and her pride, tragedy struck. Simba had returned to the Pride Lands, and Scar was overthrown. But when she heard he got betrayed and killed by the hyenas that once were his allies, she was even more furious. Even though I'm not sure that that is the way Scar really died, but if you want to know more about that, you should look at my other video about Scar's death. But anyway, Zira didn't know the truth. She believed that Simba was responsible for Scar's death, and her hatred for him began to grow. She vowed to avenge Scar, and in her mind, Kovu was the key to achieving that. She began to raise Kovu with one goal in mind, to one day defeat Simba and take back the Pride Lands. Because of this, Zira's obsession with Scar only grew stronger after his death. She taught Kovu that Scar's way was the right way, filling his head with stories of how great Scar had been. But she knew they couldn't just attack Simba directly, because Simba was strong and well protected. Therefore, she came up with a new plan, one that involved tricking Simba and using Kovu's connection with Kiara. Zira told Kovu that he had to get close to Kiara, Simba's daughter. By gaining her trust, Kovu could get close to Simba and eventually take him down. She spent years training Kovu to be a fighter, preparing him for the moment when he would challenge Simba. But more than that, she trained him to be clever and to hide his true intentions. Kovu was taught to pretend to be kind and friendly, but inside, he would be waiting for the right moment to strike. Kovu followed Zira's orders, and soon enough, he saved Kiara from danger during a fire in the Pride Lands. Simba welcomed Kovu into the Pride, unaware of Zira's plan. But as time passed, something unexpected happened. Kovu started to genuinely care for Kiara. Instead of seeing her as a tool for his mother's revenge, Kovu fell in love with her. This wasn't what Zira had planned at all. Because Kovu began to change, he started questioning everything his mother had taught him. He saw that Simba wasn't the evil lion Zira had made him out to be. And Kiara? She wasn't just a way to get to Simba. She was someone he truly cared about. Zira's plan was beginning to fall apart, but she was determined not to give up. When she realized that Kovu was growing close to Kiara and Simba, she grew angry and impatient. She needed Simba gone, and she believed the time had come to strike. She decided to take matters into her own hands. She gathered her followers, including her eldest son Nuka and her daughter Vitani, and prepared to ambush Simba. But things didn't go as planned. During the ambush, Nuka, desperate to prove himself to his mother, tried to attack Simba first. But Simba was too strong, and Nuka was killed during the fight. Zira was devastated by Nuka's death, but instead of mourning, her sorrow quickly turned to anger. She blamed Kovu for Nuka's death, accusing him of betraying their family by not sticking to the plan. So in her mind, there was only one option left: a direct attack on Simba and his pride. She gathered the remaining Outlanders and prepared for a full-on battle. The battle between Zira's Outlanders and Simba's pride was fierce, but luckily, Kiara and Kovu came to save the day just in time. They jumped in between them to stop the fighting. And with Kiara's wise words, "A wise king once told me, 'We are one. Look at them, they are us. What differences do you see?'" Simba and Zira's Outlanders realized Kiara was right, and they made peace. But not for Zira. She was blinded by her desire for revenge and refused to listen. She charged at Simba, determined to kill him. But Kiara intervened and stopped her just before she could reach Simba. The two lionesses tumbled down a cliff, and Zira found herself hanging on the edge above a rushing river. In a moment of mercy, Kiara offered her paw to Zira, trying to save her. But Zira, filled with anger and hatred, refused Kiara's help. She let go and fell into the river below, ending her life in the same bitterness and rage that had consumed her for so long. Zira's story is one of tragedy. From the beginning, her life was shaped by pain, loss, and anger. Her childhood trauma, the death of her mother, and her devotion to Scar all led her down a dark path. Though Zira never saw it herself, her story reminds us of the dangers of holding on to anger and bitterness. If she had let go of her hatred, her life might have turned out differently. So what do you think? Could Zira have turned away from her hatred? Or was her devotion to Scar too strong to overcome? What if she had grown up with loving parents who protected her instead of a harsh father? Could her fate have been different then? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed learning about Zira's story, make sure to hit that notification bell so you won't miss a new story of the Pride Lands. See you in the next one.